tarot friends, welcome to another video that I've been really looking forward to posting. This is going to be my deck interview with my Cecolli tarot. Now, a few things before I begin. I'm trying to find my box so I can just show you. I want to show the box while I'm talking, but I can't find it. If you'd like, oh, here it is. Okay. I guess that's a little more interesting than the card back. So my Cecolli Oracle. Before I begin, I just want to point out this is my deck interview. So this is my relationship with my deck, and I am sharing it. I think it could be interesting, potentially helpful. But if you are going to be working with the Cecolli Oracle yourself, and you know this, then you may not want to watch this, or you may watch it if you can get it out of your head or whatever. Because for you, your deck interview will be different. So, but I do just I want to show it because I'm really kind of excited about it. So, we shall begin. Oh, these are my dragon playing cards. I never even did. I don't think I ever did my video on them. They're just plain cards. I thought they were going to be decorated, but they really weren't. They just have the dragons on the back. Anyway, so off point. Okay. If you hear the lime and the coconut in the background, that's because Practical Magic is playing in the other room. Oh, I can't dance and hold my camera still. So, okay, I did do a little preview of this with the first card, but I'm going to go over it again. So, the first question, well, I guess I can also say that I've already done this. I've taken some notes. I've did some meditating. I did some thinking. I did the full tarot spread layout, which I don't really think of it as a layout per se. I would actually shuffle in between each question. But I did the whole thing. I wrote them all down. I did them late at night, and I fell asleep like 17 times doing it, and probably had some really interesting dreams that I can't recall. And then over a few days, I actually took notes and kind of took each card. It was a lot. So, I did some meditating on each card to, really connect with it and not just get like a simple answer, I guess, but to really connect with the deck, connect with the cards. So, okay, it is 3:10 and I'm going to officially start now. All right, deck interview. Question number 1. These questions, okay, I lied, come from Ethany. They're posted on her blog, and she also talks about them in some of her videos. So, thank you, Ethany. I've looked up some other deck interview questions, and so far, yours is my favorite. So that's what I'm going to stick with. Tell me about yourself, Cecolli Oracle. What is your most important characteristic? So, number 11. And my initial thought was hard to get to? hard to figure out, hard to get to, maybe was it. But I looked it up, and it wasn't hard to get to. This card means improvisation, and it says, don't worry if you don't have a solid plan for how to proceed. Many things are actually better when they develop spontaneously, organically, playfully. Let each step of the process lead you onward to the next, rather than scramble to gather everything all at once and make it perfect. Improvise with what you have on hand and make room for serendipity. Serendipity is such a nice word. Light meaning the process of improvisation may reveal unknown genius to you. Oh, what I just read was from the book, if I didn't say that. The process of improvisation may reveal unknown genius to you. That is so true. The worst thing that could happen is that you will learn something. Brilliant. And it's funny because I saw a video walkthrough now I can't think of her name, of one of my favorite YouTubers, and she did this, and then she shuffled and she picked a card, and this was the one she got. And she just said she loved that. The worst thing that could happen is you'll learn something. So, important characteristics of the deck that the deck wants me to know about are improvisation, spontaneity. It's spontaneous, organic, playful, and serendipitous. This this deck is playful and wants to be experienced. It wants to reveal itself organically, not by being forced. And in fact, it as I said, it was a slow process. I did the whole spread. I wrote them out, and then I went over one or two cards every day, and sort of let it unfold for me. So it absolutely is living up to its word, not by being forced to make sense or have the right meaning. Just developing a playful attitude and being willing to get to know the deck naturally, slowly, will reap rewards. I was amazed and just blown away by this. First card, the deck wants me to get to know it as a friend, playfully. I said. What's funny also to me is that I I thought this deck was going to be more dark, I guess, because of its creepy qualities, more shadow work, more kind of more serious, I suppose. But this deck is like, no, this is a fun deck. This is like, stop looking at me from the point of view of an adult and just come into this child's world. Be the child. Don't look at it from the outside. Get into it and just play and let it be fun, and kind of forget the idea that it's creepy, even, sort of, for the most part. And another reason why I find it ironic is because one of my first oracles that I bought was the Work Your Light Oracle, which is obviously very light. The colors are beautiful, and they're all very positive and affirming and whatnot. And the first messages that I got from this deck, and from my Divine Feminine, which also has a super motherly, loving kind of vibe, my first messages I got from these decks were, hey, do some shadow work. Start looking at some things you don't want to look at. So these decks turned out pretty much opposite of what I expected, and I think this one is too. And then this actually was my first draw that I remember drawing from the Work Your Light. The ever unfolding rose cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. And it was so right on point when that came up. So, sorry about that little bunny trail onto a whole other deck. But just to say that I expected these cards to be lighter, I guess. They seem like they'd be pretty light and fluffy, but they were harsh but loving. And so this deck I thought was going to be pretty harsh, pretty intense, and it's saying no. Like, no. Let's just play, okay? Let's just play. Chill out. Don't take me so seriously. Oh, yeah, there I wrote that down. While contemplating the card 10, I got that very message. Don't take me so seriously, and don't take yourself so seriously either. So that was the first card. Second question, what are your strengths as a deck? So I turn this over, and my thoughts are curiosity. Because that's how I feel about this card, is that there's this curiosity between these two creatures looking at each other, both equally as alien to each other as the other is. I don't know if I said that right. So I thought curiosity and a sense of wanting to explore and be explored, and that the deck wants to know me as much as I want to know the deck. So I really felt that. And so I looked it up in the book, and it was a little different, and I agree with both messages, really. Curiosity is probably a strength of the deck, and I do feel like the deck wants to know me as well as be known by me. And the card is called Advice. So the book says, advice is coming to you that will significantly change your perception of the situation. I think that kind of fits already with what I had already said. You may be inclined towards skepticism, which I am quite skeptical, actually, believe it or not. I'm a skeptical believer. But please keep an open mind. Be respectful of any efforts taken on your behalf. In particular, welcome valuable insight from elders who have a good sense of perspective. There's no indication of urgency or danger, but there are things you need to think about and things you need to change. That took a little bit more serious turn to me. It felt a little heavier to me, but there are things you need to think about and things you need to change. So, a good sense of perspective, and I feel like that curiosity goes along with that. So I feel like this is a deck of, curiosity, exploration, and advice. The light meaning says if you don't understand what you're being told, ask for slow clarification. And there's a later card in the spread where I actually did ask for slow clarification. Darker meaning, I don't feel like these dark meanings are dark. I don't know, but just this one's a little bit harsher. It says consider this your wake-up call. And my thoughts again, changing thought patterns. Oh, to the question of what are your strengths? Helping me to change my thought patterns, providing useful, maybe vital advice, having a good sense of perspective, showing me a different perspective. I didn't write that down, I just thought of it just now. I don't think that I expected this would be a deck that would give me advice, but it already has. The first thing it did was give me advice. It said, don't worry if you don't have a solid plan for how to proceed, which was actually great advice because I did not have a solid plan for how I was going to proceed with this other than I thought, hey, I'll do a deck interview. But really beyond that, I didn't know. And the deck said that's fine. And in fact, it's great. And I was worried about that. I thought, I just don't know what I'm going to do with this deck. I don't know how I'm going to approach it. I don't know how I'm going to mesh with it. I don't know. And now I already feel like it's not a problem. I feel like we're doing good. And the second piece of advice was just to let it happen in a playful, naturally unfolding way. So surprisingly, this deck will be one to give me advice. So I guess it's a good deck to turn to if I need advice. On the other hand, it's still difficult for me to get advice as a meaning from this card. I had said it reminds me a little bit of E.T. with the long fingers and the mutual curiosity. So like curiosity was, I guess I liked this explanation, but I felt like my own instincts on the card were still more how I felt about the card. The alienness of it all. But I don't know now, for some reason. This card doesn't really say advice to me. It says curiosity and it says exploration. So maybe that's more of the thing that this deck will give me advice, but will help me to explore and be curious. Because, that's a great way to learn. So, okay, on to the next. What are your limits as a deck? Bum, bum, bum. Girl on a Bug, number 8. And if you look, she's kind of lost all of her motivation or whatever. I was like, okay, what does this mean? But without looking at the book, does it mean this deck is going to bug me? Bug, haha. That I'll be tired and discouraged because she looks tired and discouraged and stall out? Or even like because it's a bug and it's so gray that this... Please forgive me, but I thought, is a limit of this deck that it's gross and creepy and gloomy? I don't really feel that way about the deck, even though some people do. So I said I must consult the book. And this card is motivation. It's called motivation. What are the limits of this deck? So right away I just said, okay, the deck can advise me, but it can't provide motivation for me to follow that advice. So I'll have to provide that on my own. That's what I felt the deck was telling me. The book says, things were going along so well. What happened? Whether it's from weariness, boredom, or indifference, somehow the situation has been bogged down and no progress is being made. Consider how you can get things moving again. What would motivate you, your coworkers, family members, and collaborators to participate wholeheartedly again? What incentive can you give to yourself to move towards the finish line with more enthusiasm? There is no point in flogging a dying enterprise. Great advice. Exactly what does that have to do with limits as a deck? Basically, that's all I can really think is that as a deck, this deck cannot get me moving. Only I can do that. That might be true of all decks. I don't know. If anybody has any more insight that they feel on this card number 8, I want to say 8 of something, but it's just 8. Go ahead and make a comment if you have something you feel like the 8 would be telling me in regards to what are your limits as a deck. So then, oh, also I had just one comment of motivation and discouragement because she's like kind of discouraged. I don't remember exactly why I wrote that note, so that sadly it's not super helpful now. What are you here to teach me? I laughed. What are you here to teach me? I said, so I thought, to be tough, maybe? To be tough, girl? So I looked it up in the book, and it said, and this card, 28, is called, some of the cards in the pictures just don't exactly mesh, but hey. This card is called Intimidation. And I think I only copied part of the meaning. I'm not sure, because some of it just didn't pertain to the question. So, don't let yourself be intimidated and held down by a lack of confidence. That's pretty clear, a good message of what you're here to teach me. So, let's put these ones in order. Not to be intimidated by others. Someone from the book, someone may be trying to exploit your weakness or what they perceive as weakness. Don't buy into their view. Don't buy into their view. I wrote it twice. Don't let yourself be intimidated and held down by a lack of confidence. Stand up for who you are and what you believe. Light, a good friend is standing by to help you, but you must help yourself first. So, helping yourself first, standing up for yourself. Someone is dark. Someone is distorting the facts. Don't give any power to idle threats. I super love that. Don't give any power to idle threats. I tend to think people mean what they say, so I actually have to remind myself that, okay, those threats are probably idle. So, okay. Confidence, toughness, standing up for yourself, being your own hero. from the movie Labyrinth. You have no power over me. And then I wrote, don't take no crap. I think that pretty much sums it up good. To be continued.